Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk a little bit about something that is very close and dear to everyone's heart, and that, I mean, everybody has these, is desires. What do we want? And why am I starting this video off talking about desire? Because it really is closely tied to Baizhu, right? So think back into patch like 1.3 or 1.4 is when I first kind of got whispers of a rumor of this cool green plant character that may arrive into Genshin Impact one day. Everybody knew his name was Baizhu. Wow, owner of Boo Boo Pharmacy, right? A lot of characters mentions him in the lore, and people were crazy about him. People try to dig up everything about him. People were data mining stuff about this dude, and the craze was just insane. I remember at the time Hu Tao had just came out or something, or it was a patch after that, and people were going crazy about Baizhu because, well, 1.4 was a very slow patch, so it was kind of like 1.5 and 1.6 even, so people were latched onto anything they could get their hands on, and Baizhu information was just what people were craving. Like, you could not avoid hearing about it one way or another. Now fast forward to the Inazuma era, right? Kind of just taking you guys through this timeline for people who were never here to experience it for themselves. In Inazuma, Baizhu kind of took a back seat, but he was always there in the background, in the whispers between conversations. Oh, he's coming, right? And like, you're gonna come up, until it was announced that Dendro would be released alongside Sumeru. And even then, people were like, oh, well, we're finally gonna get Baizhu, and people would not stop talking about Baizhu until now. Okay? So this is the thing that's happening now, and I think going forward, I want to call this the Baizhu effect, because he's technically so far the longest lasting teased, leaked, whatever you want to call it, character that people jacked up to be something amazing, and now people don't really talk about him anymore, right? Like, now Nahida is here, Nilu is here, they're both getting their rerun. I asked my chat the other day, how many people really are excited about Baizhu nowadays? Nobody. Like, there was like 2 people out of like hundreds. 2 people said, yeah, I'm kind of excited. So this leads me to the point, right? What happened to Baizhu? Did this character just kind of fall off the face of the earth? Do people not care about him because he's bad? I mean, the guy's not even out yet, and even by looking at his kit, he's not necessarily bad, maybe not spectacular or amazing. But here's the thing, when you want something and you cannot have it, you yearn for it more. It's a psychological thing. I forgot what the term was, but we always want things that we cannot have. Back in the day, Baizhu was just like rumors, right? And of course people were intrigued. You were engaged with the possibility of getting information that was out of the reach of others. You just wanted to know more about this character. Maybe you could get your hands on some secret intel that could help you prepare your account in one way, shape, or form. And it was the fact that he was inaccessible that made people actually desire him more. Now that he's become accessible, he's lost that charm. Like, truly, if you just go back 3-4 patches from now and ask how many people were excited for Baizhu, if like hell, even just a patch ago when he first got teased, how many people were excited for Baizhu, a lot more would have said yes, right? But the closer you get to actually getting him, this mystique, this desire kind of just evaporates. So why am I making this video? It's because a lot of you guys suffers from this problem where it's like, oh, you want this thing so damn bad and you're willing to like swipe your card excessively, or for free to plays, you might be dumping like months of gem on something because it's hype, because there's so much noise around it, because other people are saying, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened in Genshin Impact, oh, this is so insane, or content creators hyping the character up, you know, look at my Baizhu, you know, like one-shotting Ajdaha or something like that. Like, even though the boss isn't one-shottable, whatever the hell they do, there will be showcases. But my point is that a lot of you guys, I've received messages daily where people's like, well, I kind of messed up my account, I got a little too antsy, I went for C2 on Nilu or something like that, and I didn't really want it, but I just kind of got caught in the situation. You know, everybody was hyping me on and can't take it back. Yeah, you can't take it back, right? This stuff is permanent into your account. Months of work, potentially half a year's of saving can just go down the drain to an impulse. And how do you control that impulse? It starts by recognizing what drives those impulses, right? For people who wanted Baizhu, for people who got excited for Baizhu, people who are right now like pulling back their hand, trying to not pull for Nahida's Constellation 1 or Constellation 2 is all because that you have these driving desires to obtain things that are difficult to obtain. And this happens time and time and time again with characters like Baizhu, with characters like Yaimiko, with characters like Ayato, Ayaka, Nahida, Nilu, Sino, Scaramouche. In the game of Genshin Impact, DPS characters are always just going to be slightly worse. So when you look at DPS characters, you can always evaluate them as just like, okay, there's many more options to choose from. But here's the thing, right? If you're still watching to this point, here's the thing about Baizhu. Baizhu is not a DPS character. He's a support character and he's a shielder healer. A lot of people aren't very excited about Baizhu because his healing isn't the best, his dendro application isn't the best, and his shielding is like very mediocre. Right? I've mentioned in the past that the importance about Baiju's shielding is never to block 50,000 damage or something like that, but it's always to make sure that the on-field character has a means to deal damage without being interrupted. The shield itself doesn't have to be durable, but it has to have duration. Right? Durable, duration, sound similar, different things. The shield needs to last, but doesn't need to be very strong. At the same time, the healing doesn't need to be excessive, and the dendro application doesn't need to be over the top, because oftentimes I feel like we're going to be running Baizhu in conjunction with another dendro character. So the importance to Baizhu really is about the fact he can do all these things at an adequate level. I know a lot of people like to say jack of all trades, master of none, kind of icky, but it's gotten to the point in Genshin Impact we need more jack of all trades. We need characters that can do important utilities in one, right? Package them into one character. Shielding and healing, I feel like for the longest time, don't need to be separate. However, tries to push them as separate things, but just aspects of the game makes it so that it would just be much better to have one character to focus on all the defensive things, right? Healing, shielding, whatever. In the future, maybe even buffing like Bennett, right? Just combine buffing, shielding, and healing all into one character, and let us just play along with that character. You can make different variances of that character in different categories. What ends up happening is it opens up team slots for us to play around with all sorts of different options without feeling like, oh, if I bring Zhongli, I'm going to be missing out Kazuha's Verdessence. Oh no, what should I do? And this is not me tooting Baiju's horn. I don't think Baizhu is going to be a game-changing character. It's not like shielding healers are a new concept, but this is truly the first 5-star that we have had of a shielding healer. I said this when Kokomi first came out, which was that we have to value characters not from the perspective of the current meta, but what could potentially happen in the future, right? At the time, Kokomi came out with negative crit rate, which sounds like a meme, but you know, Hoyoverse did it. Hoyoverse are always doing things to combat what's currently popular or what the current status quo is. It is not fun to repeat the same task over and over and over. I know daily commissions are pretty much that, but they really don't take much of your time. 5 minutes maybe, you should be done with all of them, right? So Hoyoverse just wants to shake things up and don't let us get too comfortable with what we have right now in terms of combat options. I'm sure all of you guys are running some variants of Dendro teams, but don't get too comfortable with that. They could very much kind of take a dip in the coming patches. I'm not saying they're going to be irrelevant. I'm still thinking there's going to be some top tier options. I think there will be options in Dendro that maybe can potentially rival Raiden National. I don't think that Hoyoverse's plan is to make teams obsolete, but the introduction of a character like Baizhu is definitely them showing us they're willing to consolidate character kits and make them more high functioning going forward, meaning that potentially you can run different options in your other 3 slots. I think it's a great character. I know I just told you in the first half of the video to make your own judgment. Don't fall into traps where you are kind of baited by hype and anticipation for these characters. It seems like psychologically a lot of people have already cooled down in terms of the Baizhu craze, but I think maybe some cool down just a little too much. It's kind of like waiting for something to come for 2 years and you get excited, and like half a month before it comes out, you kind of lose all that excitement. I think that's kind of what's happening to Baizhu, and of course a lot of people are waiting on Folklore, and if you want Folklore, maybe Constellation 1, 2, maybe Constellation 0 with her weapon, you likely should be starting to save your Primo Gems now, so some people are also doing that. It's not because they don't want Baizhu, it's just something really good is potentially coming in the near future. But that's all I gotta say for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my live stream on Saturday. Until then, urge y'all to stay safe. Peace.